guys, welcome back to Densia vlog. Halo guys, sıra media kalai espera katak hotu diak no ita hotu diak. So video loron yang hotu TUIR palestra IHA na escola e palestra ne sira se apresenta ser ne livro kona entre Ukraina e Rússia yang. So kole sira acompanha fating hone vlog to ene ba. Halo guys, agora eu pronto rotona. Nebe agora eu tô lá o em autocarro e depois eu tô a minha faculdade, mas eu continuo a falar a minha vlog. So, kole sira acompanha fating hone video to ene ba. Halo guys, agora eu hang autocarro e autocarro mai cleo los nebe agora eu mai tu falia cafeteria basic paragennya tambah hampir kena bak los guys paragennya hang. Finally autocarro mai tena mebe Ola Belun halo video barak tang helaran tambah me barak los.
Asari ana onenen ene ceremu pari lukune melan tava hiro he ana elutava navare icha tutun ana tava elu he echeremo ana tava echeremo eluhana If you ride with me, don't gotta work for the both of us. I'll put you in the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry in the love. When you ride with me, don't gotta worry when tomorrow.
Ok, colega, sira eu tô tendo na faculdade e agora eu tambalaram lá, guys. E estamos né depois rolar o barrel lá e a bonana ni foto lá. Guys, ini abunana ni foto Iha Hau kedang. E foto ni tetamo si portão bot mai te sempre retan tamba Iha Hau kedang guys. Kalau isi rebel herenen. Ini foto barakos. E depois Iha ni loron sabro, então emeladon Iha. Iha mebe ema ida rua. Iha ni halau bat tamana tamba oros mas basic kona. E colei rebel here reimamu close, reimamu kanisan fali covid. Lorong bain segunda até sexta ni dene na kono los. Dia lai tem craig na kono agora reimamu close.
Bem-vindos a esta palestra do professor Luigi Leonardo, que eu já vou apresentar, e já o vou apresentar em inglês, que é a língua que vamos usar para comunicar. Visiting lecturer in European Union Law at King's College London and at the University of Westminster. He is the author of European Union Common Foreign and Security Policy after Lisbon, between law and geopolitics, and of this book, Russia's 2022 war against Ukraine and the European Union's foreign policy reaction. He is author of 21 articles, 3 edited volumes and 12 book chapters. He completed his PhD in European Law at King's College in 2015 with a thesis entitled Coping with Distinctiveness, Common Foreign and Security Policy in European Union Law. Well, thank you again. I have chosen some paragraphs of your book.
That's always scary.
I think they can be seen as appetizers or highlights of your book. And I've chosen six paragraphs. The challenge to the European Union and the United States is not limited to a territory. It is ideological. Russia proposes itself as the corrective to a dystopian, corrupted, decadent West. 2. As a result of the constraints presented in the first argument, the reaction of the European Union to this shocking war is not revolutionary in terms of the European Union's political and legal structure.
It is great to have you. Thank you, Professor Mendes, for having me today, and thank all of you for attending at 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. I really appreciate it, and what you will hear today is my presentation about the book, and you will hear a lot of passion in what I say, presumably in Russia and Ukraine. And in fact, one of the challenges in writing the book was how to rationalize the strong emotions, how to cool down and write something that has a scientific objectives and standards. Because, and I want to start with a quotation from a French moralist, a French philosopher, La Bruyère, who says, "Nothing is easier for passion than to conquer reason." Nothing is easier for passion than to conquer reason. And I start with this because in the book I try to pay particular attention to the psychological dimension of the conflict, and I will come back to that. And in fact, I think that we will inevitably also come back in the debate to how strong emotions still animate the conflict and how they may need to subside if an end is to be seen. So what I'm going to talk about today is to touch upon the 4 points that you see in the transparency. I am going to start by explaining what is the object of the book and what are the main arguments. Essentially, the book has 2 arguments. The first is that the response of the European Union to the war in Ukraine was due to 2 constraints and energy dependence on Russia. And the second argument of the book is, as we have heard from the quotation, in terms of legal institutional response, the reaction of the European Union is not revolutionary. The European Union adopted the usual instruments through the usual processes and adopted by the usual actors. Okay, what was the reaction of the European Union? I'm going to say virtually nothing by way of background of the war, because we are all sadly familiar with it. So just in a nutshell, the reaction of the European Union consisted of microfinancial assistance to Kiev, both directly by giving money to, because since the EU as such does not have an army, and it is only in the course of developing its own defense NATO remains. It tells us something about human nature, or at least the human nature about some people. So this is to give you a sense of the kind of things that I say. Now, one word on the context. Russia has been for centuries a military protection, but it also needed, at least at the beginning, Russian energy. And this meant that Ukraine was left in the middle. That's my argument. And the provocative part of it is that in the future, the European Union needs to find a strategy, a vision, a long-term philosophy, call it as you will, for including Russia in the future plans of the restructuring of the European security order. In other words, it is too obviously in the member states' interests to have Russia on its side rather than not for the future. This incurs into all sorts of problems. What Russia? Putin's Russia or somebody else's Russia? And perhaps we can discuss this in the Q&A. I say this, I present this argument because I'm mindful of the fact that when in the United Nations General Assembly in March 2022, countries voted to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, most countries voted to condemn the invasion, but those who didn't represent the majority of the world population. The rest of the war, so if you don't forget the rest of the war, not everybody sees the war in the same way as it was seen almost unanimously by the outraged European Union. Okay. And finally, a few words on the legal structure. First, I feel like I still have to justify why, even though legal considerations are obviously dwarfed by the violence of the war, I still dedicate a chapter to the legal aspects, and that's because law...
In your book several times that closer links between Russia and China should be avoided. Not humiliating Russia, not pushing it.
Thank you for welcoming me. It was a pleasure.